Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. In today's video, I just want to summarize the future of Europe as I see it as a Slovak Muslim, which is a very strange identity, being somebody who's born in Europe, who's native here, who has been raised as a European and turned to Islam. Like, how does that make sense? How can you be a Muslim European? That doesn't make sense. That's a contradiction. Although we have many examples of this, but still people view it like this, which I completely understand because I used to be anti-Islam, I used to be anti-Muslim. Nowadays, there are so many tensions. Like yesterday, there was this march in the UK against Islam organized by Tommy Robinson, Londonistan, against Londonistan or something like that. And people were chanting, Allah, Allah, who the F is Allah? Now that's some crazy stuff, right? Like basically we got to the point where nobody's listening to each other. The future of Europe isn't looking great. And I think we have to be realistic. If people in Europe are okay with genocide in Gaza, which they are, not many people are kind of talking about this enough, then I don't have an issue imagining a situation where you have like a Muslim Holocaust in a sense where they just get rid of all the Muslims in Europe. They start by banning them, banning the Quran, banning the hijabs, and then lining them up and killing them. This happened in Europe before. It could happen again with Muslims now. So most Muslims have no idea how much we hate them as Europeans. I have to give you this tough love because I am a European and I love Islam, obviously. But I want to give you a sense of how deep the hatred is. It's primordial hatred towards Islam, towards you as a foreigner, anything like that, basically. The hatred that dehumanizes that individual where if you die, I don't care. Like, there's no feeling even attached to your death. You understand what I'm saying? This is how most Europeans are. They live in comfortable lives. They detach themselves from the real world and the suffering, and they have no problem genociding or killing millions of people in Iraq. Their governments, but they vote the government in, right? So they do that, and they just like couple of protests and okay, forgot, next. Some people have this idea that maybe you have mass conversions, some dawah, it's possible, all these things are possible, but Europe will never accept Islam if it's not accepted from top. Europeans have too much pride and too much arrogance in their hearts. And it's just, I'm a bit worried looking at all these things that happens. You know, there's tensions all over the world. Like we're waiting on some event, you know, the leftists, the liberals, and, you know, the fake conservatives, they hate each other. And then you have Islam, which is kind of like hated by both of those groups. And also, within Islam, you have the munafiqeens. We know what I'm talking about. The munafiqs, who are like Zionist Muslims. Like, what is even that? Zionist Muslim? They exist, bro. They exist. This is the biggest scum of the world. I think this is like, if there's anything worse than being a munafiq, it's being a murtad. But munafiq pretends to be a Muslim, yet he goes against Islam. That's crazy, man. When I view the world, I think all these groups hate Islam. The munafiq within Islam, Muslims who hate like proper Islam, like Zionist Muslims or whoever. Then you have these murtads, ex-Muslims. These are just like on another level. Then you have like Christians who hate Islam, strange. Then Jews. Then you have like atheists, completely hate Islam, of course. It goes against everything they believe in. I used to be an extreme atheist, so I know. And then you have like these nationalist people or like traditional people hate Islam as well because it goes against their culture, which many times it does, of course. It goes against Slovak culture. Like our culture is drinking and, you know, doing all sorts of haram stuff, which Islam forbids. So of course it goes against that. But it replaces it with something better, although people don't want that. And then, so basically, there is no ally for Islam. We have to realize, looking at the landscape, and as a European Muslim, I have such a weird experience because really there's no ally for Muslims in the world. It's not Christians, not anyone else. The Christians are the closest, the ones who have sense. So Christians who don't hate Islam but have like sense of what's good and wrong. There's a big alignment on certain values and things like that, although there's a huge differentiation in theology. in the person of Jesus Christ, Isa alayhi salam, everybody's against Islam. There are no allies. There is no one to help us here. We can only get what we can get through legal means of like political pressure, because no one else cares about Muslims until they have enough people that their votes matter. So then they start pandering towards Muslims or catering towards Muslims, but no one really views them positively. Like, let's say you have like minorities who you try to help. Muslims are not being helped by that because they're scared of Islam. Everyone's scared of Islam. Every single European, every single like murtad, all these people are scared of Islam. A lot of times it's just confusion and they don't really know what's going on. I would say it's a majority. However, online, if you look at people who go and profess their hate towards Islam, those are the true murtad, munafiqin, whatever you want to call them, because they know the real Islam is not like that. They know it because they can see, but they purposely change Islam to fit their whatever agenda they have. So those are the worst people because they twist what it really means and the words of Allah. The people who don't know and just fall for the propaganda, they are less to blame because they just don't know. Like I was like that. I didn't know. So I just like followed whatever I've heard somewhere. I didn't research it. I just followed because there's not enough time to research a lot of things. So that's how my Islamophobia grew. It was just like based off just general mainstream hatred towards Islam. So I just hopped on board. Like, if so many people agree on this, then yeah, Islam is bad. We have to ban it, ban Muslims, ban mosques. I have no problem with that. Like really, no problem. As a liberal, no problem with that. So you see, this is the reality, bro. This is the reality that if a liberal European sees something that contradicts their worldview, they'll try to ban it or forbid it from entering into like any sort of competition. I don't know what the future holds, but I don't think it's good because it's getting darker and darker every day, every week. Not just with Islam, but all the other groups are hating each other as well. They can agree on the Muslims' hate, but they also fight within themselves. So we are really alone, and that's my message. Stop pandering, stop looking at the other groups. And you can clearly see this division. Oh man, it's beautiful. Like you have these interfaith dialogues, right? Beautiful interfaith dialogue. I'm gonna sit down with a Jew and a Christian and debate how we are amazing. All right, no, nothing wrong with that. Cool. But then you go and October 7th happens, and you talk about Palestine, and you talk about this, and then they switch, whoop, and become Zionist, and like you can clearly see, like, oh, okay. So this is your true face. Okay. And really, Palestine issue was a big wake-up call for many people to see, like, are you a munafiq or are you a true Muslim? Are you like, where are you on this? And you could like see people switch up. Like a lot of people, of course, support Palestine. And you can see a lot of people like, you were this guy the whole time. I didn't see it, man. Man, this is crazy. I really like you, but you're kind of munafiq. Okay, cool. And you can kind of see like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm not saying we shouldn't interface or we shouldn't talk to other people. You can. You just don't expect anything. Like not even a sec. That's why when people say, oh, Islam is not recognized in Slovakia. You guys don't have a mosque. It's so difficult. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Easy Islam here. We have the halal meat. We can pray. We can fast. I've opened an Islamic center. It doesn't have to be called a mosque, bro. It can be called a cultural center, whatever. These are just labels. We don't care about the government. We don't care about other people approving of our ideas to practice Islam. We're gonna do it either way. So we found a way, and I don't need the recognition as a mosque. Like I don't need the recognition from a state for anything. I don't need the taxes. I don't need the money from anyone. We got you guys who can help us out. You guys gave us over almost 40,000 euros. We can, Allah will give us, just we rely on Allah, we have tawakkul, that if we are here to worship Allah and we do it as a group, Allah will provide for us. We don't need the government, we don't need the recognition, nothing. And we practice and it's fine. So don't feel like, oh, Slovakia, it's so difficult, Islam. Easy. There are more countries where it's more difficult. Much more difficult. I'm already on board with people hating me and hating me because I'm a Muslim. And with people hating what I stand for and what I believe in wholeheartedly. I completely understand that this is the basic default of human beings, that when I'm talking to a client or somebody and the religion comes up, and sometimes I say, hey, I'm a Muslim, they look at me differently. And I know that, and I'm fine with that. I don't try to be like, oh, this is unfair, we are good. We are oppressed. Oh, bro, this is dunya, we're gonna die. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة والآخرة. Like, what's going on, guys? Like, why are we so scared? Why are we such a victims? Like, even if somebody puts us in prison, tortures us, this doesn't matter. This doesn't have any effect because we live in this dunya as travelers. It shouldn't affect our hearts because we live in this dunya as travelers and we're leaving, and we know we're leaving everything behind. So no worries, guys. No worries. Just live your life. Look at the society. Look at the mess. Be a good Muslim. And don't expect anything. Don't expect anyone to love you. Expect the negative. But be composed and be fine with it. And if you live in a Muslim land, then you don't even know how blessed you are. Like, you are blessed beyond anything you can imagine. And so be grateful for that. And make sure your land stays Muslim, right? So make sure you don't let your people veer off Islam, but continue dawah and continue efforts internally, because there are many Muslim countries who are Muslim just by name. Like, I know a lot of guys, for example, here in Slovakia, we have a lot of Kazakh guys from Kazakhstan who came here, and a lot of them, they couldn't even pray, they couldn't do anything, and they said they are Muslim. Like, what? And within a few months they could, but it's just like some countries, they are not like on their deen properly. So if you are on the deen, make sure you put on the deen some other people around you, because it's easy when they are culturally Muslim. They don't have this hatred towards Islam as we do as Europeans. So it's just so cool to have the truth, know the truth, see the truth. You know it was decreed, and you know there's going to be a day of judgment. You're preparing for it. You make mistakes, but it's so good to know the truth and just see the world, look at it, and it's like, man, this is a mess, and really yearn for Jannah and the Akhirah, because this dunya, every day it becomes less interesting for me, to be honest. And not in a sense like, oh, I want to kill myself, it's so bad. I don't have depression. I can't have depression. How can I have depression if I know my purpose in life? I'm disinterested in this, whatever. Like, I look at it and I know this is not real, and okay, I'm gonna make some money and do this, but I just can't wait, not to die, but really I can't wait to live the real life. The real life is in the Akhirah, not here. So really, it's just like a bus station for us. So just stay in this bus station for 30-40 years. It's gonna go by very fast. Then you die, and you're gonna be prepared, inshallah. You're gonna smell the paradise, and then we can go on, and we can kind of see. And then you look at the efforts and you see this test, you see it in reality, that this is a blink of time in eternity, and that eternity was determined how well you did on this test. This blink of time is so important. Every moment, every minute, every second of this life is so important, because you're going to be judged on that. So make sure you devote yourself to Allah, to your dying moment, and you make mistakes, make tawbah, repent, and go back, and that's the purpose. And just live like that, subhanAllah. And so that's my message. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Leave me a comment below. Do you think Europe will fall internally, or what's gonna happen? Anyways, Jan the Slovak Muslim signing off.